welcome to New York's number two sports show. The Yankees acquire Cody Bellinger from the Chicago Cubs for Cody Poteet. So a trade of the Codys. But really, this was a trade that I think a lot of Yankee fans saw coming. It makes a lot of sense. It's a good fit having his left-handed bat in the Yankee lineup. And his father, Clay, was with the Yankees from 1999 to 2001. So he won a couple of World Series, was a utility player, not nearly as good as his son Cody, but definitely someone that as a fan, certainly remember him being with the team. I think really his biggest moment, he had a really good catch in the 2000 World Series against the Mets. I think it was game two in the ninth inning that, one of a rare situation where Mariano got in a little bit of trouble, but he made a pretty big catch at the wall, I think, and left. But either way, for Yankee fans of that age, we'll certainly remember Clay Bellinger. But Cody is someone that I think has been a target of Brian Cashman's for some time. He started his career with the Dodgers in 2017, and he was there through the 2022 season. Came up at a young age. He was really, burst onto the scene as a really good player, won Rookie of the Year in 2017 at the age of 21. And his last two seasons, he was on the Cubs. And I think that there was a thought that going into that 2023 season, I think the Yankees were interested. At that point, Cody Bellinger, coming off of what was a bad 2022 season, really coming off of two poor seasons with the Cubs. I mean, even the 2021 season was actually worse than 2022, but kind of got his career back going with the Cubs and was really good. Like I said, two seasons, not this past season, but the season before that. Actually finished 10th in the MVP voting in the National League, but is a former MVP winner from 2019. Now, I don't think that you're ever going to get that player again, but this makes a lot of sense. Cody Bellinger is an above average fielder and versatile. He likely will be playing center field, but maybe could play first base, right? Depending on how that goes, it gives the Yankees a little bit of leverage and a little bit of negotiating power, because obviously we hear a lot about the available first baseman, right? Whether it be, Christian Walker's the big one that comes to mind. Pete Alonso gets thrown out there. I'd be surprised if Alonso ends up being Yankee, but long story short, whether it be via free agency or trade, there are first basemen out there. Yandy Diaz comes to mind. I think he's someone that the Rays, in the right deal, wouldn't mind trading. Josh Naylor, I'd be surprised. I'd be surprised if Cleveland traded him, but his name is out there. So the point is, there's a lot of first basemen, not as many outfielders. As far as Jason Dominguez is concerned, if Bellinger does play center field, it's not the best news for Dominguez, although then to me, I think that they would probably give him a shot in left. And even though it didn't really work out much this past season, I'm willing to have growing pains there with Dominguez. Now, you don't want to have that at every position, but if that's the one thing, I think you could live with that, with Dominguez being really young and you want to, have him develop. And look, center field may never necessarily be open for him. You'd think it would be at some point. It might be his best position, but again, a lot of moving parts here that we don't exactly know the answers to. But what you can say is that bringing in Bellinger makes a lot of sense. To me, it's a good fit in the lineup. And I think he'll fit well in the clubhouse as well. He is someone that has won a World Series before. He won it in that 2020 season, which was different, but it counts the same. And I think that was key for the Yankees. They bring in Max Fried. They did not have World Series winners on this roster. The only ones that really came to mind were Anthony Rizzo, who in all likelihood will be gone, and Juan Soto. They were the players that have that World Series experience. Now, the Yankees bring in Max Fried, who won a World Series with the Braves in 2021, and Bellinger won a World Series with the Dodgers in 2020. I don't believe there's anyone else. Unless it's someone very, very deep on the roster that isn't really that significant, you really want to have that experience. So for Cody Bellinger, he is under contract, definitely, obviously, in the 2025 season, a salary of about $27.5 million. It was actually a contract that he declined the player option. So he had a player option at the season, and he picked it up. And I think it made sense because he probably wasn't going to get more than that coming off of an okay season. Cody Bellinger, it's funny. Cody Bellinger, like his seasons are more like to the extremes. Either they're really good or really bad. This one last season was kind of in the middle. I would say that it was more above average than below average, definitely. But one in which he felt like it made sense to pick up the option and not opt out. Now he has another player option for 2026. So that's always a tough spot for the team because if he does, you want him to do really well, but then if he does really well, there's a decent chance he might opt out. So you kind of hope it's that fine line where he does well, helps the team, but not enough that he wants to, again, uh, take that to opt out of the player option. But we'll see. So the way I see it, in all likelihood, you got two seasons of Cody Bellinger until he becomes an unrestricted free agent. That's kind of the way I'd look at this. Uh, Going to the Cubs is Cody Poteet. So the big thing with this trade is the contract. That is why when you look at it player for player, obviously Cody Bellinger is a lot more established and has done a lot more in this league than Cody Poteet. Understand that this is really being done for financial reasons, and for the Cubs, they kind of view it as getting that contract off the books a little bit. I'm sure they value Bellinger, but you got to remember they just acquired Kyle Tucker from the Astros. And so, I'm sure they have sights on potentially, if things go well there, signing him to a long deal. So Cody Poteet goes the other way. And I actually, in his brief time with the Yankees, I actually was pretty impressed by what he brought to the table. Injuries seem to have always been a problem with Poteet, who came up through the Marlins system, and that's where he mainly was. I believe he spent the 2023 season primarily in the Kansas City Royals organization, uh, rehabbing from injury, I think, for the most part. But in 2024, with the Yankees, in 4 starts, that was it. 5 games overall, 24 and a third innings, 3-0 with a 2.22 ERA, a 207 batting average against, and a 1.07 whip. Again, to me, it seems to be a health issue with Cody Poteet. It's not that he has stuff that's necessarily going to blow you away, but like he is someone that, the Cubs will have team control over him for a while if they so choose. Cody Poteet isn't young, but he, turned 30 back in late July. So look, I think Cody Poteet's someone that could be a contributor, to the back end of the Cubs rotation if he does stay healthy. So the Yankees were in a position where obviously they were pretty deep in starting pitching. Not to say that Cody Poteet couldn't have found himself, I think that after the 6 pitchers the Yankees have, and that's Stroman included, Poteet probably honestly fit in as maybe, and I could be forgetting some starters in the system, but he really probably would have been maybe number 7. But this is a trade that makes absolute sense. I can't really see many reasons why you wouldn't want to make this deal. If you're not a Cody Bellinger fan, then obviously that's one thing, but it'll be interesting. Talking more about Bellinger, he started his career more as a first baseman, then transitioned more to right field when he won his Gold Glove Award in 2019, which is the year he won the MVP. And that season, 47 homers, 115 RBIs, a 305 batting average with an over 1 OPS, 1035 to be exact, with an 8.6 WAR. Just an unbelievable year for Cody Bellinger. He won the Gold Glove that year, primarily playing right field. And obviously, this moves Aaron Judge to right, which is so much better. Judge is much better in right than center field. And that's the one, again, I wish that Soto was back. I'll be honest about that. But as far as defensively, this is for sure better. Cody Bellinger, then really from 2020 on, he played more center field. But really, if you look at it year by year, it's always a little bit of a mix. He always plays a little bit of first. Again, as far as right field, that seems to not be there as much, but even that's there a little bit. Left field, very brief. Again, it really goes center, then first, then right. So right now, especially with Judge really locked into right field, I look at Cody Bellinger right now, based on what people are saying, more so a center field than a first baseman. Not so much, honestly. And again, this was a report really primarily by Bob Nightingale, which again, when it comes from Nightingale, you don't know whether to believe it all the time. So I take it with a slight grain of salt, but let's just take that as fact that it is center field. I think, he would, maybe get the odd start at first base. But again, you're not going to get the Cody Bellinger from 2019. What you're hoping to somehow get is the Bellinger from 2023. And that is where his first year with the Cubs, out of 2 seasons with them, and really arguably his second or third best season in his career after that MVP one from 2019. And this was a season where 130 games. So that tells me that he played 130 games the last 2 seasons each. So that tells me that there definitely were a little bit he missed about 30 some odd games. So I guess he must have dealt with a little bit of injuries. Again, that's just me, kind of just guessing there, but nothing that was overly significant. It sounded like he was out for 50 plus games, but he went, it was 26 homers, 97 RBIs, 20 steals that year. He can steal bases, only 9 this past season. So he's athletic for a guy that really has been a slugger in his career. Again, like I view Cody Bellinger, he's versatile, and it's interesting. He's really cut down the strikeout rate. And just to finish up the 2023 numbers, 307 batting average with an 881 OPS. This past season, 266 batting average with a 751 OPS, 18 homers, 78 RBIs. Cody Bellinger with the Cubs, which is very encouraging, really cut down on the strikeout rate. With the Dodgers, it was kind of ebbs and flows, as I could tell. There were some years where he struck out a lot, especially early in his career, but he did kind of find it, and then it got bad again. Cody Bellinger in 21 and 22 was really not good. Although it's interesting, in terms of the playoffs, he had a pretty good 2021 after a brutal 2021 season. The Dodgers lost to the Braves in NLCS, and so that year they played the Cardinals in a 1-game wild card playoff round. Then they beat San Francisco in the NLDS, and they lost to the Braves in the NLCS. Cody Bellinger was actually really good in that playoffs, considering he was dreadful during the season. Cody Bellinger also won the NLCS MVP back in 2018. And that was kind of, again, like a good regular season for Bellinger, but not really nearly as good as it had been the year before or the year after that. So it's interesting. He's had some of his better playoff runs, not in the years that he's had good regular seasons. Again, what does it mean? Probably not a whole hell of a lot. And the other thing with Bellinger, too, is he's not as old as you'd think, because here it is, Bellinger, this will be his 9th season in the league, right? He came in when so here's a great comparison. He basically came in when Aaron Judge and Cody Bellinger's rookie years are the same. Now, Judge had a little bit of playing time in 2016, but for this exercise, Aaron Judge is, I want to say that there's about let's say approximately a 3-year difference in age, Judge being 3 years older. I believe Judge was born in 92, Bellinger in 95. So Cody Bellinger right now is 29 years old. You would think that Cody Bellinger is older. And look, maybe there is wear and tear for the fact that he's, been in the big leagues for as long as he has been. But really, this deal makes a lot of sense. I think that in terms of like being battle tested, that's there. He's played with the Dodgers and the Cubs. These are, franchises that are rich in history, big markets. Again, he's won a World Series. He's won an MVP, won Rookie of the Year. There's a lot to like here. And hey, there's also a little bit of a hatred for the Astros as well. Having lost to the Astros in his first year in 2017 in that Dodgers-Astros series after the Yankees lost in that well-talked-about ALCS. So I think that fans will really gravitate to Cody Bellinger and the fact that his dad was on the team as well. And there's a photo going around that's been around, because there's always been a lot of Bellinger to the Yankee speculation of Clay and Cody together at the old Yankee Stadium years ago. So again, I think this one makes a whole lot of sense. Does it mean it'll work out? Of course not. We don't know. But for the fact that he can play center field or first base, I think that's really good. And there's still moves to be made. That's the thing. Let's just say he plays center field. First base, I think they're going to do something of some significance. And then you still do have, let's just say Dominguez is left field. Let's just say that they're going to do that. You still have second base or third base with Jazz Chisholm Jr. playing the other positions. So that's the thing. As much as you've brought in Fried, Devin Williams, and Bellinger, I still think there's at least 2 or 3 more moves that are not like just depth moves, like legitimate pieces to the roster still to come. So that's kind of the exciting thing. Is I like the direction that they're headed, but to me, if you just stopped here, that would not be good enough, and you would have holes on this roster and in this lineup. So, going to be interesting to see what happens. Yankees been very active, and it's a Yankees Cubs trade, and it's one that I think a lot of us saw coming, and it's now come to fruition. The Yankees have acquired Cody Bellinger from the Chicago Cubs. And we'll see what is coming next from the New York Yankees in what has been a very busy offseason.